This is a movie about what happens when superstitious people try to do a renovation on a house that has a natural gas vein underneath it that starts leaking into the house. This does bring us to an interesting question, though. Is the idea of possession or haunting or other poorly documented explanation always the explanation of last resort? I'm not a big fan of the term supernatural. To me, it just muddies the water when we try to talk about these things. On one extreme, it becomes a synonym for imaginary, in which case an imaginary explanation is almost always an explanation of last resort. On another extreme, it becomes a synonym for unexplained, in which case everything starts out supernatural at some level or other. So I find the question, should we consider a supernatural explanation? Unhelpful, but the modified question, should we consider a poorly documented solution? Can be very illuminating. One of the problems with poorly documented solutions is that we have very little information about what their properties are. This means that even the experts in that field are doing a certain amount of guessing when it comes to answering what feel like very basic questions. I remember reading an article once, back in the early days of the internet, of a dad who happened to be a trained journalist, who tried to answer a question from his child. Is it true that daddy long legs have the most potent venom but their mouths are too small to bite? The father spent far more time on the question than he thought he would need to, and ultimately called a biologist who explained that the father's confusion stemmed primarily from the fact that there are multiple species called daddy long legs, each with different properties. At the end of the conversation, the biologist said that he was not aware of any study that tested the potency of daddy long leg venom of any species, because they don't bite people. It didn't come up, so no one tested it. I was able to find information on current studies on that question, so either that biologist didn't know about them or they've been conducted since then. At any rate, this is the problem with something that's poorly documented. As long as we don't know what the properties of daddy long leg venom are, we could assign any imaginary value to it to explain whatever otherwise unexpected event we're studying. Why didn't the car start? Daddy long leg venom. Why did the wrong guy win the election? Daddy long leg venom. Why is the weather the way it is today? Daddy long leg venom. There is another side to poorly documented things, though. Sometimes there are a bunch of things that are poorly documented, but in the particular way that they are documented they have similarities. In this way, poorly documented refers to the object itself, not documents of evidence about it. An example of this in astrophysics is dark matter. The best physicists don't have any dark matter in a bottle that they've run tests on. They aren't even sure if that's possible. There are guesses as to what dark matter is, but there's no document to definitively describe it. Demons fall into this category. We don't really know what they are. Most of our best guesses were made at an earlier era of physics, and those guesses don't even translate well into our current understanding of how the universe works. They used to say that birds were composed of earth and air, but fish were made of earth and water. Now we know they're both made mostly of nitrogen, carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen. No one I've ever met has a consistent, established, useful system for translating between the old 4 or 5 element systems and the periodic table. So when I read the old speculation that demons were air and fire, I'm not sure how to map that onto my understanding of the universe. That doesn't mean demons aren't real. It just means that I'm not able to use the best explanations for their substance in a modern context. Ancients being wrong about the elemental makeup of birds and fish didn't keep birds or fish from existing. When you come down to it, there are experiences that don't fit easily into categories we have. Yet they consistently follow the pattern of responding to prayer, to commands from authority, and they consistently try to push the buttons of those who have secrets that would drive them away from the community. We haven't really documented what these things are. No family of viruses, no mental illness, and no family of toxins has been found to induce this, and ending it often involves prayer, authority, and confidence. Events of this type have been observed in far countries across the world. I actually like the way the movie starts. Father Amorth heals a child who spontaneously starts speaking English in Spain by compelling the demon to enter a pig and then killing the pig. Then, when asked about it, he explained that this was a placebo. The boy was not possessed, he was overstimulated by watching American television. When facing the real demon later in the movie, the conditions are very different though. The demon knows things that had been kept secret, hurts people from across the room, and seems to have a specific agenda separate from the people possessed. The problem is that the house is uncontroversially located on a natural gas vein, and the gas is uncontroversially leaking into the house. Natural gas poisoning explains everything. People are hallucinating. A person losing their mind to a toxin would think they were under attack from across the room, for example. There are examples of things happening in the story that are not so easily explained, though. How did the clues from a child's mental illness lead to the discovery of valid archaeology? Any one of these could be dismissed as a coincidence. But the more things an explanation passes off to coincidence, the less compelling the explanation. One of the problems with multiple explanations is that we can't really tell how they interact. It could be both natural gas poisoning and a demon, but then in any particular attack it's not clear if that attack is the result of a toxin or a demon. This is why we would prefer to separate these explanations for a detailed study. If we really wanted to find out what demons are, which I would love to, this isn't the way to do it. Are you like me? Would you like to see a peer-reviewed, detailed study journal for the purpose of finding out more about demons? Should we try to bring some afflicted people into a hospital and see if we can identify more about demons that might help us heal others with the same affliction more effectively? Let me know what you think in the comments.